session 3 of Behold, I'm Doing a New Thing. We've been saying that what Isaiah was talking about, the new thing, was that the people in exile would be returned to their own land. The first group returned under the leadership of Zerubbabel. Now he was of royal lineage, he was of the line of David, and so he was made governor of the area. And they were sent there by King Cyrus of Persia. They were sent there with the mandate to rebuild Jerusalem and rebuild the temple. And yesterday we saw how the people started rebuilding with great enthusiasm, but the enthusiasm waned very quickly when there was opposition, and they left the temple just hardly started for about 15 years. It wasn't until they began to rebuild and had actually finished the foundations that God began to bless the people. The lesson being for us is in things that matter and benefit us, the new things, won't come about if we're not living with God at the centre of our lives. So today I want to look at the rest of the story of rebuilding the temple. God had already organised the whole thing. He just needed the people's willingness to act. Now the temple that was destroyed by the Babylonians was a fairly impressive building. But God said to them through the prophet Haggai that the glory of the present house will be greater than the glory of the former one. When they began building, enemies from around became very opposed to it. And they wrote to the king in Persia, and then it was King Artaxerxes, because Cyrus had died. And they said these Jews are rebuilding their temple and their city, and when they get it rebuilt, they're going to rebel. And so you should stop them right now. Well, so Artaxerxes heard this and he wrote back and said, yes, you must stop them building. Well, after a while, Prophet Haggai comes along and says, why aren't you building the temple? So they start again. And the enemies started to say, well, by whose authority are you doing this? Because you've been told to stop by Artaxerxes. And so they wrote to the king, and this time it was another king, it was King Darius. And they said to him, look, these Jews are building their temple again without permission, and they're saying that King Cyrus has given them the permission to build. So King Darius then said, well, we better look back through the edicts passed by the King Cyrus, which they did. And they found an edict which said that the people were to be going back to Jerusalem, they were to be rebuilding the city and rebuilding the temple, and all the gold and silver artefacts that had been stolen from the first temple were to be returned to them. Not only that, then King Darius said, and you lot, he's talking to the enemies, are going to pay the wages of the workers and provide them with everything they need. The final sentence was, and if anyone changes this verdict, there's going to be a beam taken out of his house and he'll be impaled upon it. See, God had organised everything in advance. It was already there in King Cyrus's edict. And so Haggai 2:7 says, God says, I will shake all the nations and the desire of all the nations, and I will fill this house with glory. The silver is mine and the gold is mine. God restored the temple to something far greater than it was there before. All he needed was the willingness of the people to obey. When this happens, God can do amazing things.
High above the chaos of the world goes, clothed in power and majesty you reign. Amazing God, alone you reign, omnipotent. You are God, you are my God. Beautiful in love and in holiness, slow to anger, mighty to save, reaching out to God with an outstretched arm. Amazing God, you are my God. Hallelujah, without a